how's it going? So today, going over the American Muscle again. So you see the packaging comes in. Nice clean package. I'm going to open it up. The contents of the box, you see the charging cable and the mod itself, all individually wrapped. So when you get it out, it's usually pretty clean. Like I said in the previous video, it's still a nice sleek design, but I'm going to go a little more in depth into the American Muscle this time. And I've gotten a few questions too, is how low can it build? What's the lowest ohms I built onto it? How much can it handle? And I use, when you're looking at it on eBay, or if you're looking at it on Amazon, you'll say up to 300 watts. Now the reason why I say 300 watts is because I built down below 0.06. Now using a standard ohm calculator through Ohm's Law at 0.058 ohms at 300 watts. 0.058, 0.06, you're looking 294 to 300. That's just giving you an idea of where you can build. So I got my 24 gauge Canthal, my pliers, my cutters, screwdriver kit, some cotton to wick it. I'm going to be building it on the Dark Horse RDA. It's a really nice RDA, one of my personal favorites. I'll be wrapping on a 2mm diameter. So this screwdriver is at 2 millimeters. That's my wrapping. That's my base diameter I'm wrapping against. Got 2 MXJOs, 35 amp, 2500 mAh batteries, just to get the safest batteries I can use with this. So I'm going to unscrew the back of this and open it up for you guys. See what the inside looks like. Now these screws are kind of small. They're kind of hard to mess with, but the best part about it is, like I stated earlier, it has that charging port, and that charging port's going to come in very handy. I mean, personally, I hate changing my batteries in and out, and I always forget which ones I got married to each other. I'll label them, but they'll come across, and I'll just forget what's going where. And if you look inside of it, you just see the sleds. The wiring, everything is kept clean. Just a nice clean box. You put the batteries in, you push the button, and you fire. It's a very clean design. Go ahead and install the batteries. Nipples always go front, so nipples always go up. Screwed on, the mod feels solid. There's not loose, there's no rattle. It's just a solid design. And of course, like I said, you got the USB charging cord with a screwdriver in there as well. Comes in very handy. I'll put this away for now and get started on the next segment of this. So this American Muscle, I like it. It's a good mod. If you're looking for a simple box mod, easy to use, not trying to spend too much, you want to get something reliable, it's the way to go. There's a simple 510 connector on the top. Fits any 510 Addy. I happen to enjoy this very well because most of my Addies happen to sit flush with it, so you don't see any lip, you don't see any growth. I'm going to go ahead and twist on my Dark Horse, show you what it's like. So when it's twisted down all the way, it's seamless. It actually kind of fits inside of the 510 connector itself, so it'll never have any of that awkward space between the mod and the RDA. It just sits flush the whole way around. Alright, so now we have a close-up of the American Muscle on the inside. We're looking at the guts. What everybody wants to see when they open up a box mod. Well, you're going to see that it's very plain, very simple. We're not leaving too much to the imagination here. You got your positive wires on the top, negative wires on the bottom, positive ground that connects your USB charger on the opposite side, as well as a negative wire on the ground, just so you know it's wired properly. The batteries fit in there pretty easily. Just kind of slide into place. Now I'm going to show you the 510 connector. As you can see, it's a really simple, but I like that little cave they have inside there. It's a little dip down a little bit, so when I attach my RDA, it sits flush. There's no breaks or gaps between it. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and jump into our build video. Alright. So now we have our stranded Canthal here. What we're going to do is we're going to fold it in half. I'm using about probably 8 inches because I like to make sure I use a little more Canthal than usual. It makes it easier to wrap for me. But other people have their different preferences on what they do it or how they do it. This is just what's easier for me. So go ahead and clamp this thing in half. Now the reason why I do this is because it makes it easier to fold the parallels. It makes it easier to wrap them when they're already touching each other. I just kind of pull it straight. Now the beautiful thing about Canthal is it's very easy to move. Like Canthal will go the way you want it to move. You just gotta move it that way. You're gonna notice here that this Canthal wire is nice and straight. It's touching each other, it's nice and flat. Then I'm gonna get my screwdriver. I'm going to do 3 wraps. There's 2. And there's 3. And these are some really tight coils. So I'm going to go ahead and back off that last threading because that's just something that I do personally that makes it easier for me. So I'm going to grab that with my pliers, pull it tight. Grab the other end of my pliers, pull it tight. Just kind of squish it together so I get it all even. Everything going the way I want it to go. Now the beautiful thing about parallels are if it's not even or the coil is just kind of not forming properly, you can pull each individual strand tighter to where it's all flat. Now you'll notice here that the coil is all flat. Then count the wraps in there. There's 1, 2, 3 wraps. Now normally I would not recommend this build for anyone. This is a very low build. It is a very pretty much it's a very dumb build, but I'm just doing this for instructional purposes. I'm gonna wick it up and vape it regardless, but this right here is just not something you would see. It's not one of the norm. Earlier today I recorded and already wrapped the second coil, that way I don't have to waste time on that. So 2 coils. I'm gonna go ahead and set this one first. Now this one, just go ahead and place it in there. Once it's in there, go ahead and tighten down the negative lead. Make sure it's nice and tight. I'm not going to tighten down the positive lead yet because I got to put that second coil in through there. Now I always install my coil on with the bit that I wrap them on, just to keep the integrity of the coil. Using this Dark Horse makes 24 gauge look easy. No issues getting through there at all. It's a smooth, clean installation. Just gotta adjust the coils to where I want them to sit before I tighten them down. Once I get that in there, let's go ahead and tighten down the negative post. And now I'll tighten down the positive. Let's go ahead and adjust the coils to where they need to be. So I'll go ahead and adjust this coil. So once that's adjusted, we'll get this one adjusted. Now this build, you're pushing at about 0.6 ohms, 0.06, probably a little lower than that, 0.05. It's a low build. It's highly unrecommended. I'm just showing you what this box can handle. So I'm gonna put my leads. Take as much off as possible. I know it's kind of hard to clear everything out when you're working with that center post. Just kind of get in there and just take it off. Now I'm going to adjust it one more time. Now if you are going to do this build and attempt it against my better judgment, I'd suggest not to do this, but if you're going to, remember to tap to pulse it because this thing is going to heat up quick. Make sure both coils are heating up evenly. Things are getting bright, very bright. Go back and put my screwdriver in there again for a third time, just to make sure that when it's heated up and it's the Canthal's a little softer, easier to move, you get a better coil that way, just by making it a little tighter. now these are some very hot coils. All I'm going to do is grab my pliers, tighten them down just a little bit. Don't want to put too much pressure because I don't want to overlap the coils. Just get them to the point where they're heating up evenly from the inside out. There we go, that's where we want to be. Heating up evenly at the same time. Some bright coils. Alright, we're going to go ahead and wick it. Me, I'm just using a standard cotton ball. It seems to be the easiest form for me to wick. Some people use the rayon, some people use the Japanese cotton or the cotton sheets. I'm not a big fan of those personally, but they work pretty well. So for this, I'll go ahead and wick it through. One end. I'm going to twist and pull as I'm pulling it through just so I can get a good clean wicking in there. So nice, straighten out this, just twist and pull. Just want to make sure you fluff it up in there as much as possible. Now if you're building it this low, you know you're not going to get a long drag. It's going to be power straight. These little power bursts or little burst hits you're going to take from it. And I'm going to wick it up and demonstrate how this baby fires, but like I said, don't recommend this coil. This video is for instructional purposes to show you that yes, you can build that low. No, your box won't blow up on you. Yes, it will still continue to work afterwards. Alright. Now I use my smallest little screwdriver. Just kind of stuff that cotton right there and on the sides. Just go ahead and juice her up. I'm going to put a little more extra juice in there. I'm going to go ahead and fire it for you. So let's see how well she fires. Instantly heats up. You just tap the button and it just plumes. Go ahead and tighten down these posts just for one last good measure. These coils are hot, so I'm just going to go ahead and grab my pliers right here, hold on to the negative post. Good thing about the dark horses, these posts are milled, so they handle great with using higher gauge wire. Instantly heat up, instantly. Go ahead and give it one more go around just so I can get that wick nice and properly saturated. Now when the wick gets wet, it's easier to adjust it, so I can go ahead and fit the cotton where I need to, so it fits nicely. Now that there is a 24 gauge 3-wrap parallel on a 2mm diameter. That is low, extremely low. Just plumes coming out of this thing, plumes. I know when I hit it, I'm going to have to pulse it, but it'll still handle it. Alright, so now we have that same build on here. I'm just going to go show you how it produces real quick. Let's see how she blows. I'm going to do 2-second pulses on each drag, just so I don't get a burn hit, keeping myself safe. There we go. That is a hot vape. It is very hot. Still not dry yet, so I got a few more pulses in there. I mean, it handles it. There's no hot button. It's not getting warm at all. The RDA is hot, Very hot. It's a very hot build. Luckily, I got the Dark Horse with those wide open air holes. It's a lifesaver with that wide board top cap. It's a lifesaver right now. This is a very, very hot build. See how well it does on a 1 second drag. I'm just gonna do one good solid second and see how she produces. Just throwing monster clouds up there. It has the power to back it up, even with those ridiculous builds. You can just do so much with it. It's just amazing how much this thing can handle. I mean, you can build RDAs on it. You can have RDAs that you can build on there. You can build as low as possible, and the battery's gonna last you a great time, a great amount of time. This battery's wonderful. Don't gotta take big drags to get those big clouds. It's just little puffs. It's a good sized cloud. The flavor's there still. It's a good hot vape. I like hot vapes. That's what my personal preference is, and I like to build them really hot because I have the airflow to support it with the Dark Horse. So it's a little bit of a both. It's a little bit of a gear spec and a Dark Horse review. The Dark Horse is holding up great on this build. Okay, so this is a beautiful build. Just a wonderful. I think I'm just gonna juice it up one more time and give it another go around. I'm just loving it right now. Honestly, I was very skeptical when I did this build. I mean, I could build this low, and I just wanted to see how low I could possibly take it. And I know there's people out there like the Super Sub Ohm below 0.01, and below 0.1, get to 0.09s, 0.07s, 0.06s. This is where you're at. And it's holding it without melting the box, without melting the batteries. Everything is functioning properly still. It's a ridiculous build. There's so much vapor, and if you like to do tricks, throw those O's out there. I'll do them occasionally. I mean, that's just great. It's just wonderful. For all those different types of vapors out there, you have this device that can fire down to 0.06. Give you that 300 watts of power. Like I was stating earlier, it's 300 watts of power being pushed into these batteries right now at a 0.06 resistance. That's crazy. You've always been taught throughout vaping is don't go below 0.1. 0.1 is like the lowest you want to go, or 0.09, 0.08. You want to do that on 26650s or batteries like that because they have a higher amp rating. Now this box is wired in parallel, so it's doubling the amp rating. So it's two 35 amp batteries, doubled. I got 70 amps of power I can throw at this thing. It gives me great explosiveness right at the top. Just touch the button, immediately heats up. Immediately. There's no ramp up time. It's just there. Just right there. But be careful when you're building this coil. If you do attempt to build it, these coils will melt on you. They will get too hot to where they'll melt off your RDA. If you're using an RDA, let's say like the plume veil, which is notorious for melting that center pin, that down insulator in the middle, that thing will melt instantly with this type of build. But the other good thing about this is with RBAs, like your K-Funds, your Orchids, if you have your Billow, or if you have any of those other, the Lumo, if you have any of these other RBAs out there that you want to use, or even a Jenny style, like the Kraken or the Fugatti, everything like that you can go ahead and use in there, and it'll fire it just fine. You can fire the highest resistance coil. The highest resistant coil I put on here is at the 0.9 ohms, and I did that for my plume, for my Orchid, and that's because I use it on my regulator device. I just want to see how it'll fire on this, and it fired up beautifully, just beautifully on this device. I can't say enough good things about it, honestly. It's slim, it's easy to carry, it's not a big bulge in my pocket when I'm carrying it around, it's not too heavy, it's really light, has a durable frame. Like I said, 6061 billet aluminum. So, I mean, some people look at it like, oh, it's aluminum, it's not going to be too good, but it's just cut out of a block of aluminum and shaped to this size, shaped to this design. The design on here is actually laser printed on there. It's actually etched inside of there, so it's not going to come off when you scratch it. It's not going to come off when you rub it. It's actually on there. In the back, again, I like that little design in the back. American Muscle, designed in California. Just a wonderful, wonderful mod. I'll give it, we'll say 9 stars out of 10. It's out there pretty well. And this Dark Horse is top notch. Top notch. It is firing beautifully and is holding the build. Even at 0.06, it is holding it beautifully.